Oh, it's been so turbulent and tumultuous. I've learned so much, but I think my heart's been broken as well, somewhat. So it's, so of course, I take it as such a valuable experience for me because, as my children grow up, I would like them to also understand the different experiences you go through. We were campaigning and we were trying very hard to solidify a coalition in order to win so that we can fulfill our promises. You see, winning elections per se, I did want my father, who was a political prisoner, to be freed, but I also, equally wanted Malaysia to be further democratized, for our reform agenda to succeed, so that we could really unleash the potential for all Malaysians. And I believe that one of the ways to ensure we check against the possible excesses of any leaders is to have strong, independent institutions. And in Malaysia, the Prime Minister and his office wields extremely, strong and powerful influence over the other agencies. Some would term it as a leviathan. It basically tries to emasculate all the other different agencies and branches of government. But that's why we need to change it, so that at the end of the day, there's still ways for us to ensure that the Prime Minister is tied and forced to follow a clear-cut reform agenda, respect the sanctity of the Constitution, and in turn, the executives or the stakeholders within his midst or in his midst.
When you said heartbreaking just now, when about the past year, you meant this.
I mean, having to work with a former dictator who wreaked so much damage, not just on our lives, but the system, was not easy. I really wanted the supremacy of the reform agenda to be our main focus. And, I always believe in a lot of goodness in people. But of course, I think it's also important for people to prove themselves. So it's just difficult, the whole thing. I mean, it was not easy. I mean, you must understand, we went to prison. I mean, it was so many years we were denied, not just access to our father, but, the Muslim celebrations, the Eid, the moments. And he was innocent. I mean, he's innocent. People have to realize that. Why did I bother, going all the way, taking time off my studies, filing, a case with the United Nations Working Group on Arbitrary Detention, going to Geneva for the Human Rights Council, as it is known now, making interventions. Because I said, I will fight because he is innocent. I'm not doing this because he's my father. And it's very important because you take a principled position, and that's how I look at life. And that's why I told myself, that's what my father taught me, right? So that the point came where we're in government, we must hold ourselves up to a higher standard. I have to make the right decision. And so I did. And I just worry for Malaysia, of course. I want the moderate voices to be strong. And I think, we're better than this. This current discourse that we're being stuck in, we're better than this.
Do you think you'll ever leave politics and be an engineer? You were trained in that.
Oh, I have to retake my degree because I didn't have my IR. So engineering will be difficult. But yeah, I do believe that life after politics is definitely possible. Yeah, for sure.
I think you'd disappoint a lot of people.
Well, I'm still going to fight the good fight. People have to understand, we are, I came into politics, I contested, and one of the things that would give me so much joy is the fact that we can empower other women, other players, to be part of it, right? Other younger women who are capable, and that's how it should be. Everything's finite. It's a contract, right? Even as Member of Parliament, 5 years.
How many more years then do you think you will be in politics?
Well, I have to serve my term.
Yeah, I mean, after this term, which is
Well, I said my final term, so that's my plan now. I have my final term.
this is going to be a final term.
Yeah.
One of my colleagues was saying that you would make a really good prime minister, but you would not. But you're not politically ambitious. Would that be accurate?
Well, I think the problem is, again, in any particular country, we can't depend on one particular individual. It helps, of course, having someone reform-minded, etc. But I think Malaysia needs a good prime minister. So I believe that that's an important outcome from any effort. So, it's very presumptuous, to say it has to be me. I mean, I don't understand people. I don't think people understand what public office. Like holding public office, you're responsible for the entire electorate. You're responsible for the entire country. It's not about you. So I feel that when you realize what's at stake, then you have a certain degree of clarity of thought, and you understand that it requires not just one man or woman, but an entire generation within the cabinet to power and realize those ideals. And I don't want us to lose any more time with mere politicking. I might kind of like the transition that's taking place in Singapore, in a sense, the degree of pragmatism that has taken place, because it helps plan out moving forward, etc., etc. And of course, you do need a more caring and empathetic society. But the issue is, you also need to unearth the best to lead the nation. So that's how I see it. I mean, it's not about politically ambitious. I mean, life, is made up of many things, right? So I just want to make sure that we provide, or we obtain more leaders who care about the right things, because that's what Malaysia needs. That's what any country needs.
What are your hopes and dreams for Malaysia?
For us to eventually survive and emerge stronger from this current racial, religious, a rut of extremities that we're currently in. I think we need to soar higher, and I worry because we've gained so much, and we understand that it's a very polarized polity, but I just wanted us to just build bridges instead of breaking them every second. And I don't mean the bridge is only formed to address the needs of one particular race, but bridges across our differences.
But do you feel people give you more time of day because you're Anwar's daughter?
Both, darling. Both the bad and the good. Some do that. Some give me a tougher time. Some, I get both. I mean, it's fair. I mean, and I can't choose my father, I can't choose my mother, but I can choose my future. So that's how I live it. I mean, sometimes, it helps, but sometimes, God, it doesn't help at all. But for me, it comes with the territory, and I'm thankful. So that's why it also assisted me in some of my decision making.
What has it been like to be, under the spotlight for the past 20 years or more?
Not fun. I believe that there's always it's a little relatively unfair to women, to me. I feel, as a female politician versus if I was a male, so sometimes there are moments where I get very frustrated with it. But that's why I remind other women that we need to leverage on each other's strengths and need to support each other more, because the level of competitiveness is already accorded and pushed on to us by the external environment, that women have to be supportive of one another, and that means the whole world.
How do you balance motherhood and all you've been doing?
I think being present when I'm with my children matters a lot. I try to be fair in terms of time allocated with them, but I've started more and more, especially before the year before the last elections, I started sharing with them my work experiences, how it's made my life more meaningful, and how important it is that I do certain things. Because before this, they used to complain, "No, why couldn't you be a doctor or teacher or just an engineer? Why do you have to choose politics?" So then I started just sharing how important it is. And so my daughter, just before elections, I said to her, "I'm going to probably lose my job because I've come to the end." And she says, "Well, isn't it a 5-year contract? So technically your contract's finished. And, I'm sure you'll be fine." And then she goes, "I think you're a good politician, and I hope you'll win the next elections, Mama." So that's, an important kind of wish from your daughter, because it really highlights that they are invested in what you do. I like Singapore, actually. Yeah, I've had very positive engagements, not just with some of my friends were born in Malaysia, eventually educated and working in Singapore, and really one of the, more finer people I've met, and I really enjoyed, engaging with them. I think there's much that Malaysia can leverage and learn from Singapore, and vice versa. I think we need to sort of, I know there's thorny issues, but I look forward to a more collaborative and positive working environment with Singapore, collaboration with Singapore. Because I remember after we won, Singapore Premier did make the effort to engage with us. If there are certain key things, I hope Singapore is also open to discussing it to find a more constructive outcome that can benefit both nations. And we came from the same level of strength in terms of civil service, empowerment, so on and so forth. So there's many things that we can learn from each other. And honestly, in this globalized setting, I don't know. The competitiveness edge with so many Malaysians working there, it's so passé. So I view Singapore rather positively. Yeah, of course, it's always irksome for some in Malaysia, to be compared to how wonderful things are being done in Singapore. But I believe, we can learn from each other. Honestly, there's many things that Malaysia has done that can also be emulated somewhat.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah.